From the teams who've never won a Super Bowl to the Kelsey brothers setting an NFL record we had no idea existed, here are 20 things you didn't know about the NFL. Football is one of the world's most popular sports, but that's a fact you probably already knew. What I'm sure you didn't know is that more than a third of NFL teams have never taken home a championship trophy, and 4 teams have never even made it to the Super Bowl. Since the beginning of the NFL, in 1902, the Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers, Cincinnati Bengals, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, and the Tennessee Titans have never held the coveted football trophy. In fact, the Cleveland Browns, Jacksonville Jaguars, Detroit Lions, and the Houston Texans have never even made it as far as playing in the Super Bowl. I bet you didn't know this next one. Let's talk about how the Buffalo Bills and Minnesota Vikings hold the distinction of being the unluckiest teams in the NFL. That's actually based on fan consensus. In the past decade, the Bills and Vikings have made it to the Super Bowl 4 times, yet missed out the chance to ever hold the trophy, while quite literally being only inches away. That is an unexpectedly long list, right? While it may not match the exhaustive list of player injuries in the NFL, it's important to acknowledge that helmets are not infallible. There is actually a massive list of player injuries even prior to 1943, though, and this was when helmet usage wasn't even mandatory. Even after the NFL announced that sporting equipment was mandatory, it wasn't until some 15 years later when they took on the form we see them as today. Initially, helmets in the NFL started off as leather coverings that, quite frankly, did little to protect players' skulls. Around the 1950s, polymer plastics were introduced and the NFL mandated wearing plastic helmets. Since we're on the topic of helmets and safety, the next surprising fact is about Deacon Jones. If you had to know just one thing about the NFL, it would be that Deacon Jones was the best defensive end the game has ever seen. One of the ways he was able to fly past the linemen and score big for the Los Angeles Rams was because of his technique known as the head slap. The name pretty much gives it away, but it was basically when one player would slap the lineman's helmet so hard, it'd throw them off balance, just in time for the defensive end to swoop in. In 1977, the NFL realized it wasn't worth the risk. Ironically, the decision to ban the head slap was named the Deacon Jones Rule. Another name you've heard of is the GOAT, Tom Brady. He's seen as the best quarterback of the century and a man of many firsts for the game, as in he's appeared in the most Super Bowls, won the most Super Bowls, and is also the oldest ever winner of a Super Bowl. So yeah, most of the records come from him just refusing to lose. That made New England fans very happy, given that, thanks to Tom Brady, the Patriots have one of the longest winning streaks in the NFL. Winning 21 games in a row, coming in second to the Indianapolis Colts with 23 games. Then the Patriots again tied third with 18 wins alongside the Carolina Panthers. The Chicago Bears are tied for 5th place with the Denver Broncos with 17 consecutive wins, followed by a winning streak of 16 alongside the Miami Dolphins. Did you also know that the Green Bay Packers have maintained their original name since 1902, making them the sole NFL team with this distinction? The Kansas City Chiefs, on the other hand, were previously known as the Dallas Texans. The Chicago Bears originated as the Decatur Staleys, and the New England Patriots were once called the Boston Patriots. The Seattle Seahawks adopted a more inclusive approach. When it came to naming their team, instead of having their board of directors pick the name, the team's general manager held a public naming contest in 1979, and after scouring through 20,000 entries, they eventually decided on the Seahawks. Another interesting fact about the Packers is that the average wait time to get your hands on season tickets is close to 50 years. There are 137,000 people on the wait list, but only 700 tickets go into circulation every season. And since the tickets are fully transferable, people actually end up transferring them to their friends or family in their will. Did you know that it wasn't until 2021 that a team got to play the Super Bowl at their home stadium? It was the Brady-led Buccaneers who managed to score themselves the win. 2022 marked their 12th entry into the postseason. With Brady by their side, before he retired, their return to the playoffs was warmly welcomed as they had finally broken a 13-year-long playoff drought. in the 2020-21 season. Stepping away from Tampa Bay and into Dallas, NFL teams typically retire jerseys to honor players who made significant contributions or to pay tribute to players who passed away during their careers. However, did you know that the Dallas Cowboys have a unique approach to jersey retirement? They chose not to retire the legendary number 88. An explanation for this choice was provided by a board member who mentioned that since linemen are only permitted to select jersey numbers between 80 and 89, eliminating another number from this already constrained range did not make sense to them. An anticlimactic reason, but hey, now you know. Another thing you should know is that the moon landing is the only other television broadcast that made it to the most viewed list, besides the Super Bowl. That's right, of the top 10 most viewed broadcasts in the world, the Super Bowl takes up 9 spots, and the moon landing takes up the number 1 spot. There's actually a bit of debate surrounding that one. Many people believe that the moon landing was technically a news broadcast, and that the 2023 Super Bowl, with 115 million viewers, should actually hold the crown of the most viewed broadcast. What do you guys think? Another highly contested debate in the United States would be about their biggest eating day. The race is tied between Thanksgiving and, surprise, surprise, the Super Bowl. Thanksgiving for the turkeys and the mash, but Super Bowl for the chips and guacamole. In fact, did you know that Americans consume the most guacamole on Super Bowl Sunday? Avocado suppliers must make big bucks during Super Bowl weekend. But guess who makes no money? Yep, the artists who perform at the halftime show. To be fair, the NFL pays them a union scale fee, which is about just enough to not seem like illegal labor. During Dr. Dre's halftime show in 2022, the artist actually contributed $7 million of his own dollars for the elaborate performance. It doesn't seem entirely fair, but sometimes the payoff isn't just about money. In this case, the appearance boosts ratings, reviews, ticket sales, and merchandise sales for the artists. Super Bowl. That's an interesting name, right? Not as interesting as where the name came from, though. You never would have guessed this: a toy. Lamar Hunt, founder of the American Football League, came up with the name after watching his kids play with a toy, the Super Ball. Hunt claimed he initially suggested it as a joke, but the name caught on. In fact, the toy is actually on display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The origin of the name makes the NFL seem lighthearted, but be forewarned, these fans can get rowdy, even murderous. Don't believe me? In 2023, Dale Mooney was sucker punched during a brawl when the Patriots fan got into a heated argument with a Dolphins fan. A medical examination later cleared the Dolphins supporter after it was determined Mooney had a pre-existing medical condition. But this wasn't the only time there's been a fight in an NFL game. Albert Haynesworth once stomped on a player's head. The defensive tackle has never been known for making the best decisions on the field or off it. Still, no one expected him to step on Andre Giroud's head. During an October 2006 game between Haynesworth's Tennessee Titans and the Dallas Cowboys, the defensive end was apparently so frustrated by Julius Jones's touchdown that he kicked off Giroud's helmet, who was already on the ground, and then stomped on his head. He had to be rushed to the hospital for a ruptured eye vessel, and Haynesworth was severely reprimanded. That's enough dark and disturbing facts. Let's end this video with a more wholesome one. It's about Travis Kelce. His jersey sold out when he was spotted with Taylor Swift in 2023. But do you know something equally interesting about that jersey? Kelce chose the number 87 because it's his older brother's, Jason Kelce's, birth year. The Kelce brothers are also the only sibling duo who made it to the Super Bowl finals on opposite teams during the 2023 Super Bowl. So, from the Kelce brothers setting an NFL record we didn't even know was a thing, to the teams who've never won a Super Bowl, those were 20 things you didn't know about the Super Bowl.